student, welcome to our YouTube channel initiated by Eng.Med Modern School. Up to this we have discussed only grammar part. So today is the day I am going to start your English book, and this year you have NCERT syllabus. So this is your book Honeycomb. Very interesting stories you will find from this book, and I am sure that you all will enjoy all the story, as the stories have mystery, the story are interesting, and most important thing, these stories have moral, so we can get something from this story. So be ready, and the most important thing and the reminder for you all is, while you watch this video, please keep this book with you so that you can understand this story very easily and clearly. So when you have this video in your mobile, please keep this Honeycomb book with you. So the first unit, now you can see here I have written all the new words, so it will be easier for you to understand each and every word. So the lesson number 1, and the name of the unit is 3 questions, and very interesting and puzzling title we have, 3 questions. So which type of 3 questions the story is going to be dealt, that we don't know, and which type of, and what are those 3 questions, that is mystery. But I am sure that those 3 questions will give you broader idea about your questions and your moral. So let's start this. I am here on page number 7, and here we have before you read session. Before we start this unit, we have here before you read, and here we have 2 and 3 lines. So first we will discuss that, after that we will go for our actual unit. So what is there? A king has 3 questions and he is seeking answers to them. So here we have one king. The main important character we have is our king, and king is very nervous. King is in that tension, and what is the reason for his tension? He has 3 questions and he doesn't have any kind of answer for those 3 questions. So he badly needs answer of those 3 questions, and for that he just wants to do anything to get those 3 questions answer. So what are the questions? Does the king get what he wants? So at the end of the story we'll get the answer of those 3 questions, but that is the mystery of this lesson. You will not get the answer of those 3 questions at the beginning, but before that we must know that what are the 3 questions. So let's see and let's meet our king. The title 3 question part 1. This unit is divided into 2 parts. So I'll try to cover both parts in this session, otherwise we'll cover another part in next session. So I'm reading on page number 7, first paragraph. The thought came to a certain king that he would never fail if he knew 3 things. So here the name of the king is not given. We don't know whose region king, which region king we are talking about. Only king is given. So king know that here king would be worried, and why he felt that kind of feeling? Because he thought that he would never fail if he knew 3 things. So ultimately all the kings has that power to empower all the world, empower all the region, empower all the countries. So here our king has the same passion. He does not want to fail in his life. So he has that thought. He thought that if he knew these 3 things in life, he would never be failed. If he knew 3 things, these 3 things were. So what were those 3 things? So the first thing is, what is the right time to begin something? The first question and first puzzling thing for king is, what is the right time to begin something? Second question is, which people should he listen to? So after all he is a king, so he should not listen each and everyone. All people should listen him. So but he also needs advice, he also needs suggestion in his life. So second question of king is, which people should he listen to? what is the most important thing for him to do? And the third question king has is, what is the most important thing for him to do? So here we have our three questions about which king is feeling nervous, and he thought that if he knew the answers of these three questions, he would never be failed. So those questions I am repeating from here. What is the right time to begin something? Second one, which people should he listen to? And the third one, what is the most important thing for him to do? So here we have completed our first paragraph. Now moving to second paragraph. The king therefore sent messengers throughout his kingdom, promising a large sum of money to anyone who would answer these three questions. So now he badly needs the answer of these three questions. So what did he do? He just sent a messenger of his kingdom to different kinds of region to get answer, and he also announced that he would reward that person who would give answers of these three questions, and that person would be rewarded with money and ornaments. The third paragraph I am reading from here. Many wise men came to the king, but they all answered his questions differently. Of course, that messenger went to different region and went to different states, and he met different people, different wise people, learned people, but he got different answer. So here our king became confused more. He got different answers, so he became more confused, and now he was very nervous as he didn't have any kind of idea about those three questions. In reply to the first question, so now what was the first question? Let me repeat it. The first question was, what is the right time to begin something? If we want to begin something, if we want to start something, then what is the right time to do that thing? Morning time, afternoon time, or night time? No, we are not talking about that time. The moment, the right moment, what is the right moment to start something new? So in reply to the first question, king got different answers, and what are those answers? In next para I am reading, in reply to the first question, some said the king must prepare a timetable and then follow it strictly. One suggestion came to the king that you need to make a timetable and after that follow it strictly, so that you can start something at the beginning. Only this way, they said, could he do everything at its proper time. And those people suggested king that if you make a timetable and if you follow that timetable strictly, you could start something interestingly and something energetically on right time. Others said that, now second suggestion came to king. Others said that it was impossible to decide in advance the right time for doing something. We don't know, friends, that what will happen in future. So other suggestion king came to king is that it was impossible to do something in advance, as we are not able to know what is going to be done in future. So it is fruitless, it is useless to make a timetable and to do something in future. So the king should notice all that was going on, avoid foolish pleasures, and now I am on page number 8. Always do whatever seemed necessary at that time. So the other suggestion king got is, someone told king that to do some important thing, avoid foolish pleasure and don't waste time in foolish pleasure, and always do what is necessary for king and for kingdom. Yet others said that the king needed a council of wise men who would help him act of proper time. Now third suggestion king got for his first question, and that suggestion was king had needed a council. Here we get our one word, that is council, which is written here. Council means a group of people chosen to give advice or to make rules. Means we can say in king's court we have this kind of person who used to give advice or suggestion to king in his urgent times, or who made rules and who give advice to king. So here that person advised king to take a counsel of a wise man who would help him act of the proper time. So that person told king that only wise person, only learned man, only intelligent man, or we can say only religious man can guide you. Someone suggested that. So the king was suggested to please take advice of wise man. This was because one man would find it impossible to decide correctly without help from others and the right time for every action. Because that wise man told king that it is nearly impossible to start something without the help of any person. So wise man has much experience, he has that knowledge, enough knowledge about each and every situation. So king was suggested to take advice from wise and learned men. Now on page number 8 I am reading second para. But then others said that there were some things which could be urgent. These things could not wait for the decision of the council. So one suggestion here king got is to ask council or council members. But the immediately second suggestion king got is that some things, some actions always required quick reply or quick urgent things. So at that situation we don't have time to ask a counsel. So what to do in that kind of situation when situation is very urgent, when situation is very serious? These things could not wait for the decision of the council, and if we become late in that kind of situation, the result will be worst. So that situation couldn't require council's time or decision. In order to decide the right time for doing something, it is necessary to look into the future. And now that those person advised king, another advice here king got is that if you want to do all the things perfectly on time, then you should ask someone who just who just has that power of knowing future thing, and who can look into the future thing. Then and then we can guess it out that what will happen in future and how will we deal those things on time. And only magicians could do that. The king therefore would have to go to magicians. And the future thing, we normal human being don't know that what will happen in future. But then even here the king was suggested to meet magician, as some of the council members believed that a magician can give idea about this first question, or they believed that magician can know what will happen in near future. But in real life, no magician can know what will happen in real life. So here this idea, I think that king liked this idea, and he was thinking to meet that magicians. Next paragraph. In their answers to the second question, some said that the people most necessary to the king were his counselors. So here up to this, here we got 4 suggestions, and those 4 suggestions are for question number 1. Someone told to make a timetable, someone told to meet magician, someone told to arrange or to recruit a council or council members, and someone told to follow the timetable strictly. These 3 or 4 suggestions king got for question number 1. Then even king was not satisfied with any or either of the answer. So now he was thinking about the second question, that which kind of people he should listen to. That is the second one. In their answers to the second questions, some said that the people most necessary to the king were his counselors. So which kind of people that king should listen to? Which kind of people the king should listen or believe or understand or get help? That is the second question. And the answer for second question here king got is, king should listen his counselors. Counselor we have written here, counselors means member of the council, means here council word is given, a group of people chosen to give advice or to make rule, and the member of this councils are called counselors. So here that king was advised to believe in counselors. Others said the priest. Priest means, here it is written, priest means a preacher or a clergyman. This is new word for you all. See, clergyman means a person who used to do work or who used to do all the things in temple, in church. That is called priest. So another advice here king got is to meet priest. A few other chosen the doctors, and some members told that the king to meet doctors, and yet others said that his soldiers were the most necessary, and another person, some other person were there who told king that soldiers were the most necessary. Here our question, what was the question? A question was that which kind of people king should listen to. And what answer he got? He got the answer that king should listen to the counselor or priest or doctors, and the lastly king should listen to the soldiers. To the third question, some said science, other chose fighting, and yet another religious worship. Now in the third question king got different answer, and the third question is what is the most important thing for him to do. And some told him fighting is the most important thing, some told him that religious worship is the most important thing, and others said that science is the most important thing to do for king. As the answers to these questions were so different, the king was not satisfied and gave no reward. Now many people came with different answers, and as we all know, at the beginning king has mentioned that he would reward that person who will give good answer, but here king was not satisfied with single answer, so he wouldn't reward any person. The king was not satisfied and gave no reward. Instead, he decided to seek the advice of a certain hermit who was widely known for his wisdom. And instead of all these things, now he was not interested in either question or in answer. So he decided to get answer by his own. And for that, he decided to meet a hermit. Hermit means a person who lives alone and leads a simple life. Means we can find this kind of person in forest, and this kind of person lives alone they are not living with their family, and they leads a simple life, and they do their work by their own, and they just do religious work, nothing else. So here king decided to meet a certain kind of hermit, and this hermit kind of people are very wise people, and they are full of wisdom and good knowledge, and they have enough knowledge about each and every questions of a people. So they serve the nation and they serve the country and king. So if we meet, or here king thought that he would meet this kind of hermit. The hermit lived in a wood which he never left. So here king decided, in above paragraph king decided to meet a hermit, and now he heard about one hermit, one saint. You can say hermit means saint, but not 100%, but that hermit is doing the same thing as saint does. So here king decided to meet him. Next paragraph, the hermit lived in a wood which never he left. So wood means here a small forest. So that hermit was living in a small forest, and king went to meet him. He saw no one but simple people, and so the king put on ordinary clothes, and king went there in ordinary clothes. Before he reached the hermit's hut, the king left his horse with his bodyguard and went on alone. So he decided to go there alone, not with his bodyguard or with his that ornaments and expensive clothes. He just went there all alone with simple clothes, in simple clothes. As the king came near the hermit's hut, he saw the hermit digging the ground in front of his hut. So when king came near that house of that hermit, and that house is called hut. So what was he doing there? So he was just digging the ground in front of his hut. Now we are on page number 9. He greeted the king and continued digging. So he just say good morning to that king, and he just continued his digging work. The hermit was old and weak, and as he worked, he breathed heavily. So he was not a young person. That hermit was not a young one. He was very old and he was very weak. So while he was digging that thing, he was breathing heavily. The king went up to the hermit and said, I have come to you, wise hermit, to ask you to answer 3 questions. See, here in picture we can see, here we have hermit with a spade, and one person is standing before that hermit, and that person is in simple clothes, and that is our king. See, we can see the goodness of, that humbleness of king in this paragraph, as king didn't introduce himself as a king. He just told that hermit that he had come to him and he wanted 3 answers of his questions. And what were those 3 questions? So he repeated those questions before hermit. How can I learn to do the right thing at the right time? Second question he asked, who are the people I need most? And the third one he asked, and what affairs are the most important? So the third question we got one new word, that is affairs. So affairs means here things, either you can write things, matters and business. So in third question he asked that which matters or which business or which things are the most important for me. The hermit listened to the king but did not speak. He went on digging. Hermit listened all the questions very calmly, very seriously. He just listened that, but he didn't reply. And instead of replying, he just continued his work of digging. You are tired, said the king. Let me take the spade and work in your place. So here king just offered help to hermit, and king told that you looked, means that hermit looked tired. So he just offered a help and offered a hand to that hermit, and king told that let me do your work, let me help you, I will help you. Let me take the spade and work in your place. So spade means here a digging tool. So that spade is there, you can see in the picture here, hermit and his spade is in his hand. So king told that give me your spade, I will dig it out and you just take rest. Thanks, said the hermit, giving the king his spade. Then he sat down on the ground. Now that hermit gave that spade to that king and he thanked him and he sat down on the ground. Now I am on page number 10. Page number 10, first paragraph. When the king had dug 2 beds, beds means here small patches of ground for plants. If we want to plant a tree, we need to dig it out, that land. So that is called patches, means small patches. In that we put our plant and seeds for planting those trees. So here when the king had dug 2 beds, he stopped and repeated his question. See, when king told those 3 questions, or when king asked those 3 questions to hermit, hermit didn't reply. Instead of replying, he just gave that spade to king and king started digging. Now king had dug 2 beds and he stopped and repeated his questions. After digging 2 beds, king stopped and repeated his 3 questions, and the hermit gave no answer. But hermit didn't give any kind of answer, but stood up, stretching out his hands for the spade and said, "Now you rest and let me work." So instead of giving answer to king, hermit just stretches out. Stretches out means just do this thing, that give me my spade, now you look tired, you just rest. But the king did not give him the spade and continued to dig. But king didn't give him that spade and he just continued digging that patches. Now next paragraph. 1 hour passed, then another. The sun went down behind the trees, and at last the king stuck the spade into the ground and said, "Now after 1 hour," and the other. Now hour after hour was passing and sun went down. It means now it was time of evening. King came to meet hermit in the morning, and throughout the day king helped hermit in digging the patches. Now it was evening time, and at last the king stuck the spade into the ground and said, stuck means here it is a past form of stick, and stick means to hit. So in a way the stuck means to hit. So that king stuck the spade into the ground and said, "I came to you, wise man, for an answer to my questions. If you can give me no answer, tell me so, and I will return home." So see, king didn't reply, that hermit didn't reply to king. Then even king was very polite with that saint, with that hermit. So here we get one lesson, one moral, that if someone don't give us answer, we should not be panic, we should not feel humiliated, we should not get angry, we should be patient, and we should have patience to give answers of our questions or answers of our problems. Then and then we can get answer. Here king, after all, he was a king, he was very mighty king, he was very powerful king. Then even he helped hermit to dig out the patches, and he was in simple cloth. And when he asked hermit 3 questions, at that time that hermit didn't reply a single answer. Then even king was not angry. He was very polite, he was very wise, he was very passionate. So this thing we should learn, that we should have patience, we should have that controlling power within us to get our answers, to come over our problems, to come over our situations. So here that king told hermit that if he didn't know the answer of his 3 questions, so king requested hermit, please told him so that he could go home early. "Here comes someone running," said the hermit. So while those 2 persons, means king and hermit, were talking this thing about this question and answer, at that time one man was coming to hermit. Now here we have completed our first part. Here some questions are given, so you will have to, we'll discuss this question in next session. Now I am going to start second session. So what will happen? These 2 people were talking about the same questions and answer. At that time one strange man, that strange person, came running to the hermit, and what will happen after that? Let's see. The king turned round and saw a bearded man running towards them. His hands were pressed against his stomach, from which blood was flowing. When he reached the king, he fainted and fell to the ground. The king and the hermit removed the man's clothing and found a large wound in his stomach. So unfortunately, when the 2 people were talking, at that time one man came. And then that man was not healthy, or that man was not in a condition to talk to hermit and king. So who was that? His hands were pressed against his stomach. That man has beard and he has pressed his hand to his stomach. It means he had pain in his stomach, from which blood was flowing and he was bleeding. When he reached the king, he fainted and fell to the ground. And when that bearded man reached to the king, he just fainted there and fell to the ground. So here we get one word, that is fainted, and fainted means lost consciousness. So that beard man lost his consciousness and he just fell to the ground. The king and the hermit removed the man's clothing and found a large wound in his stomach. So now what he saw, they just saw that man had that wound in his stomach. So the hermit and king both started helping that man. The king washed and covered it with his handkerchief, but the blood would not stop flowing. And king himself washed his wound and helped that strange person. King didn't know that what person or who that person was, and he just helped that person with his own handkerchief, but the blood would not stop flowing. But the condition of that strange man was becoming worse, that blood was not stopping, and the king redressed the wound until at last the bleeding stopped. So here we get one word, that is redressed, and that is new word number 11. It is redressed and meaning is dressed again. So that king redressed the wound until at last the bleeding stopped. So if we see in this paragraph that king helped that strange man very politely, and we can get the quality of king, that king was very helpful person here, as he helped that strange man with his handkerchief and he just redressed or changed the dress of that person, and after that finally at last the bleeding stopped. It means that a man just started getting his consciousness. Now what will happen next? Now that whether that person will die or not, or would he get recovery or not, that thing will do in next session. So this is for today, and in our next session we will get our answers or our king's answer. So now it is time to give you homework, and here you have 11 new words and you have to write these new words in your fed book. So your homework is write these 11 new words in your book. Still our mystery is not revealed. We couldn't get any single answers of our 3 questions. So in this session finally we are going to get our answers, and our king is also going to get our answers. But for that you have to wait for another video. So we'll meet again in next video. Till then, take care. Thank you.